this whole video is kind of more directed toward that population. Like, if you need to exist on social media, you have no interest of getting rid of it, but you also know that you have an unhealthy relationship with it and just want to, like, what can I do? How can I have this not ruin my life or make me feel like shit every time I look at it? Hey. Hello, it's Ruthie. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been here. And I thank you so much for coming back. I know it's been a while. I'm sorry. It's okay. If you do happen to be new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video and for watching this far at least. I hope you enjoy. I hope you get something helpful. And if you do, I hope you like and comment and subscribe and do all the YouTube-y things so that it helps my channel grow and then more people can find the stuff that you find helpful and you know? Okay, so this video is one that has been very important to me, and it's very important that I get this out of my brain, out of my Word document, and into video form and onto the internet already, because it's long overdue. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about social media and about how we can use it as a tool that can actually improve our lives rather than what it is by default, which is a life soul-sucking, money-sucking, sucky suck machine. Not those ones in China, if you've seen those. It's a great idea. They should do it other places. Anyway, okay. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking about how I've found that I can use social media and it doesn't entirely destroy my brain and doesn't entirely demolish my self-worth and confidence. How I can have just a slightly healthier relationship with social media, because this is where life is taking place, especially post-Panny. Life kind of takes place on these squares that you are now watching me on. And I understand that. Life also takes place not on the screen, which is very important to talk about as well, which I will talk about. But I have such a complex relationship with social media and so many different feelings about it, and I've used it in so many different ways that I thought that this would make a very hopefully insightful video for you all, or you few, whoever, however many people watch this. I'm hoping that I can share some little tidbits about the ways that we can use social media where it becomes more destructive in general, and the ways in which we can kind of flip our mind around and just be more mindful with our usage of it to a point where it actually can help improve your life and you can gain things off of social media. It doesn't necessarily have to be this like soul-sucking machine that it was literally built to be, in a way. Well, a money-sucking machine, but they do that through grabbing your attention, which is kind of your soul. So yeah, you get it. So let's get into it. So social media. Hi, welcome. You are on social media right now. YouTube is a social media platform. It feels a lot more like just media these days, but the gist of what I'm trying to get to in this whole video is that social media is a tool. And if you think about tools, they can be used in so many ways. A hammer, for instance, it can be used to nail nails into a wall. It can also be used to hammer your hand and break it. But it can also be used to, you know, build a house and to construct things that will last a lifetime. So that's my little analogy. It doesn't totally work though, because a hammer is a tool that when used as intended, it helps you out. But social media was created with the intent to grab our attention and to sell things and to advertise things and get people to buy things. So it's not a perfect analogy, because the intention of the people who created the social media platforms that all of our lives kind of exist on now was not a good intention. So we luckily have our own intentions. And if we think of social media as the tool that it is, we can use it in a intentional, effective way that benefits our minds and our life. So in this video, I do want to share about the kind of different eras, I guess you could say, or phases, cycles, whatever, that I've had on social media, and Instagram specifically. Facebook to me has always existed as a place for true friends and family, and I keep it that way for the most part. You know, I cross-promote my YouTube things on there. I didn't use it for a long time, but right now it lives as a place, is like when there's news that I want to share with family that lives across the world, I can post it to Facebook and I know that they'll see it. So for me, Facebook, I don't really have an issue with any sort of toxic relationship with Facebook anymore. I definitely did when it first came out, when I was in early high school, but all of it kind of very quickly shifted over to Instagram, which is what I will be talking about probably the most in this video, because it is a platform that I utilize the most, I guess, besides YouTube. I also want to say off the bat that I know that a lot of people are on TikTok. I did have a TikTok for a hot second, so like if you watch some older videos of mine, I might be like promoting my TikTok. I no longer have that TikTok. It's deleted. There was, a little kid who was kind of bullying me on it, and I just knew that I couldn't handle it. But I do know that the majority of people are on TikTok these days, and that is kind of where everything starts. So I think that basically everything I'm saying can be applied to TikTok as well. I just urge everyone who uses TikTok to just take inventory of how you feel before going on TikTok versus after you get off TikTok, and how much time you actually end up spending on it. Because for me, it was way too overstimulating. I think it's just that it was video and audio all the time, and like you couldn't like turn it off, I guess. But it's like no matter where I scrolled, there was video in my eyes and audio in my ears, and it was just too much overstimulation. So yeah, anyway, not for me. I just want to talk about the different phases that I have had with Instagram specifically. So when Instagram came out, I think I was either a freshman or sophomore in high school, and it was like Twitter but for pictures in my mind. And I'm like, perfect, because I love taking pictures, Editing Ruthie here, realizing that I did not talk about Twitter at all in this, but I've not had Twitter since 2009, so I'm not going to. That's all. Okay, bye. I just didn't think much about it, just kind of put stuff out there. Shortly after Instagram came out, I started modeling. Then it started to become a place where I would post my modeling pictures. And, I'm skipping a lot of years here, but I eventually moved to New York, and at that point it was 2014, and Instagram was like everything. And when I started modeling in like 2009, 2010, it was like the classic, like America's Next Top Model going to castings. Like you have a big portfolio book, you have to walk to every casting, they're looking through your book with your tear sheets and prints and everything like that. And that was how they decided if they wanted to cast you or not. And then it started to become your iPad. So people would bring iPads, like you had to have an iPad as a model. And instead of having a physical book, they would swipe through like your digital portfolio. And then they kind of stopped asking for that altogether. And it went into like you show up at a casting and you write down your Instagram handle and how many followers you have and your height and measurements and all that stuff. So since 2014, as a working model, Instagram is a part of your job. It is your portfolio. It is how people find you and how people book you for things. And that was my whole mentality of how I used Instagram. I also had a phase where, I was partying a lot and I just genuinely didn't care what I posted, and my agents like actually talked to me about it, and they were like, you got to chill with like posting party pictures because it's not a good look. But I was like, well, why? I was like 17, 18, so I'm like I was nuts. Anyway, but that was a phase. And then it became like a very professional thing. So then I heard through the grapevine of casting directors were just passing over any papers that they got with models with less than 10,000 followers. So when I heard that, at the time I think I had maybe 2,000 or 3,000 followers. From that point on, like my entire goal was to get 10K on Instagram. I need 10K. Like 10K equals money equals me being a successful model. Followers on Instagram was directly correlated to how many jobs I would book, therefore how much money I would make, therefore how successful I would be in the modeling world. So I did a photo shoot for Playboy and very easily got well above 10,000 followers, literally overnight. I'll never forget that day. I think I talked about this in an older Rambles session of mine, probably the one where I talk about modeling. I have a few videos where I talk about growing up modeling and social media and modeling and things like that. So if you want to hear me talk more in depth about that stuff, it's on this channel for sure. So I eventually ended up doing a few different photo shoots for Playboy magazine. All of it was digital, but they posted me on their Instagram. They posted me on like their digital articles and things like that. They did a story, and I didn't show everything, but they were very risque photos, and I was kind of faking it till I make it. Like, I was in that mindset. Like, I was not a confident woman showing her body. I was a desperate child trying to be famous. And unfortunately, the pictures are awesome. The pictures, unfortunately, they're incredible photos. Both photographers I worked with for the different shoots I did for them are amazing. I have no ill will toward them whatsoever. Basically what happened is that, I had 2,000 followers. The first pictures for Playboy go up, and then I'm watching the numbers just go I think I got up to 30,000 followers overnight. It was insane. And at first I was just oh my God, on cloud nine. I'm I did it. This was my only goal for so long. It wasn't even that long. It happened pretty fast, honestly, but it was a hard goal I had to get 10K, and I surpassed it. I'm well over that. I'm going to be booking everything now. I just shot for Playboy. I was just, I felt like the shit. I was 18, feeling like the shit. So I want to say less than an hour after all of this happened, I start bawling my eyes out, and not in a good way, in a very bad way, in a very scared way, in a oops, rewind, oh no, what did I do? What's happening? Fuck, da da da. It wasn't good. I was very uncomfortable. I started getting just a million messages from gross people. I felt overexposed, and I felt like I didn't actually realize what I was doing until it was done. And it felt like it was too late to go back. But then I very quickly woke myself up out of that, and I'm it's not too late to go back. I can undo this to some extent. It's just going to take some time. And I did, I shot for Playboy 3 different times. So this wasn't a black and white thing. But my relationship with Instagram, it was. So very quickly after gaining all of those followers, I found an app that would help me delete followers. So I deleted but you had to still kind of do it manually. So it took me so long, but I eventually deleted it until it got to 19 or 18,000 followers. And then I was all right, that's good enough for now. I have over 10,000 followers still. If people are purely looking at numbers, my numbers are there. But I don't have that many disgusting people now following me. And the more that I post stuff about me and my actual life and my actual interests, the more of these creeps will just naturally fall off. So I've been very open about this. I've said this in a bunch of YouTube videos at this point, but all the followers that I have on Instagram are still dwindling from that 30,000 bump I got from shooting Playboy. So sometimes people will see my Instagram and read my bio or whatever, especially if they're just meeting me, and assume that I'm a, somewhat popular person on the internet who teaches yoga, makes YouTube videos, or talks about poop or whatever. I don't know what it looks like from an outside perspective, but I assume something along those lines. But in fact, most of the followers that I have now are still to this day people from the modeling world. And now I'm in a phase where I'm getting back into modeling, and I'm doing a lot more modeling stuff, and looking at my Instagram and realizing that it's very personal. I'm sharing pictures with my family, with my boyfriend, with my friends, and it's really not like a modeling or a model's Instagram right now. Like, it's not my portfolio by any means, but I am more out of touch with the modeling world as a whole than I used to be. So I don't know what people are even looking for right now. Like, they might, be looking for a more authentic person or whatever. So I'm leaving it as it is for now. Like, I'll probably clean up some stuff at some point. It's honestly out of pure laziness that every single post I've ever posted is still on my Instagram for the most part. There are some that I've archived. There will be more archived in the future. But anyway, so I say all of that to illustrate the different ways that I personally have used Instagram. And my mentality when using Instagram for so many years was work. I'd get on there. I only followed models and photographers and creative directors and casting directors and magazines and just anyone who I wanted to book me for anything, or if I was, trying to study how they posed or studied their photographs. Like, my Instagram was kind of like a study guide for modeling, because modeling's hard. I know some people think that it's a very easy job. It's really, really hard, and you do have to practice, and you can get rusty at it, and you could be the prettiest person in the world and be horrible at modeling, and you can be the most unique looking person in the world and be a killer model. Like, it really has way less to do with what you look like than people assume. It has a lot to do with how you present yourself in social situations, especially because, getting booked for jobs, you have to be pleasant to be around, and knowing yourself, knowing what your face is looking like, knowing your angles, knowing what your body and posture looks like on camera, which is a very different thing than in the mirror or on video. It just takes experience, and you have to study, and it's hard work. We earn our money. Models out there, I see you. Anyway, I kind of veered off course there for a moment. So another big phase that I've had, honestly, throughout the entirety of all of the phases, so I guess it's not a phase, a main reason that I use the social medias that I use is to connect with other people who have chronic illnesses, autoimmune diseases, the same shit that I have, IBD, J-pouch, ostomy bags, all of these people. Because I do not personally know anyone besides my family members who live all over the place that suffer from these diseases that I suffer from. And I have hundreds of hours at this point of me talking about my diagnoses, and I'm making an update to that right after I make this. But having a chronic illness and having inflammatory bowel disease, specifically Crohn's or colitis, or if there's another one that I don't know of, it's isolating by nature, because you are stuck on that toilet. You're not getting off that toilet. And the second you think you're getting off, guess what? You're getting back on. And then you think you're done, nope, you're getting right back on. So you're staying there. When you're in a flare-up, before my first surgeries, I logged 9 hours a day sitting on that damn toilet. And that is not a life to live. That's not living life. It's just not. It's living on the toilet. So throughout all of the different phases I've had, kind of socially speaking more and professionally speaking with social media, with Instagram specifically, Instagram has always been a way for me to connect with people who have J-pouches or who have IBD. And I have made countless priceless connections with people through Instagram and through YouTube. That was the whole reason I started my YouTube channel, was to talk about my health more openly and in a long form content, because if you've listened this far, you know how I talk at this point. It's all over the place. I can talk for hours and hours. So I always knew that YouTube was where I wanted to share this type of stuff, where I'll be able to be the most myself and to share the most of myself with people, because there's only so much you can convey via photos or quick videos. And I just have a real, I'm not a fan of super short form content. I just don't think that anything can really be conveyed in such a short amount of time. Besides funny things, which is another thing that I use social media for, is funny videos, pet videos, just sharing things to my parents or the family group chat or to my boyfriend or my fiance. I'm engaged. We're being low-key. It's not a big deal. So I know that there is a large population of people. I am a part of that population of people who uses social media as kind of like a lifeline, honestly. Like when there is nobody else out there who will understand you or can directly relate to what you're going through, guess what? You can find someone on the internet who can directly relate to what you're feeling and what you're going through. You just gotta know the right places to look, I guess. If you found my channel and you have IBD, then you know how to find it, like is searching for tags and hashtags, and like if you have an illness, if you find another account who is openly talking about that same illness, then you can go to see who they're following and see who they're sharing or talking about and find other people that way. You can send direct messages to people. You can create your own content where you just talk into the void and see who talks back at you. That's literally what I'm doing. So it can be used in so many different ways, and I worry that there are too many people utilizing social media just so mindlessly and not thinking about it as a tool and not thinking about it as something that can be used to actually benefit your life. And so many people who just delete the apps altogether or totally get themselves off of social media, which I respect, and I totally, if that's what you want to do it. Completely, I understand. I would do that, honestly, if I didn't have the illnesses that I have and if I didn't need it for modeling work, there's a lot of reasons that I personally feel a need to exist on social media, on Instagram and YouTube and Insight Timer specifically, but not everyone has that need. And if I didn't have that need, then I wouldn't do it, And so this is intended, more for the kind of person who has a need for social media. If you have an illness that isolates you a lot, I'd say that's you kind of have a need for it because you need connection in life. And if you can't leave your bed, then how are you going to connect with people if you're not doing it on social media? And then it's a huge blessing, because you can find people and talk to people who will change your life, This whole video is kind of more directed toward that population. If you need to exist on social media, you have no interest of getting rid of it, but you also know that you have an unhealthy relationship with it and just want to, what can I do? How can I have this not ruin my life or make me feel like shit every time I look at it? Hello. This is Editing Ruthie here, who plugged in her microphone for the Editing Ruthie part. I wanted to add a section here. Let me make myself more presentable. I'm sorry. Yeah, ignore everything that's going on here and just listen to the words I have to say. Okay, so a huge part that I left out or maybe just didn't talk about enough in this video that I'm realizing as I'm editing is the importance of boredom and how little we have of it these days, and how the second anyone gets even the slightest twinge of boredom, this thing's getting picked up. There's always something to distract you, and there's always an escape from boredom. And I want to emphasize in this video the importance that we be bored and remind us all, myself included, the magic that comes out of boredom and the amount of things that have been created simply because people were bored and playing around, tinkering around with their little things and, end up creating a beautiful work of art or an invention that saves the world. Who knows? You just never know what could happen in that time when you have nothing going on, when you're not doing anything. I think it's really hard for kids or anyone younger than me probably, and maybe even my age. I just turned 28 a month ago in August, and I'm in 2024 right now. So, I was born in 96. I think it's difficult for people even my age a little bit, but I think I'm very lucky, and I got maybe the tail end of remembering life before smartphones and missing it. But I feel really a lot of sorrow for kids who are growing up with cell phones. I mean, I am considered a kid who grew up with a cell phone, but I guess I should say kids who are growing up with smartphones and social media on their smartphones, because I don't even know if they know what it's like to be bored unless they have really great parents who ensure that they know how to be bored and learn how to entertain themselves. Yeah, I think it's something that can so easily go overlooked because bored and being bored is boring, obviously. Like nobody wants to be bored. It's not a feeling someone like looks for or looks forward to feeling. But we have to remember that boredom is so important and we need it. And it's what allows us to stop and think and reevaluate and create our lives the way we want to create them, rather than, just rushing, buzzing through every single day, and then opening your eyes and 5 years have gone by and you're like, wait, I didn't do that thing I wanted to do, or what am I even doing? Or, like you just don't even remember maybe the last 5 years. But let's be bored. Go out there and be bored today. Okay, bye. So if you look at social media and whatever platforms you use, whatever platforms you exist on, I myself am personally just Instagram, YouTube, and Insight Timer, the meditation app. You do have the option to choose exactly what you want to use those platforms for. And it does take a lot of awareness, a lot of honesty with yourself and what you're actually doing, what feelings are driving your actions when you are engaging with social media. I don't know how the average person frames social media in their head right now, or like what they see it as. But if you frame it as a tool that can be used to do the things you want to do and to create the things you want to create and to connect with the people you want to connect with, then you can be a lot more intentional when you are actually utilizing these platforms and kind of keep yourself in check of, why am I going to this person's page right now? Am I going here to feel like shit about myself because I think they're really pretty and then I'll never be good enough, whatever, so you can actually keep all of these platforms, even if you don't post a single thing on any social media platform, even if you are just a pure consumer of social media and content, these can still apply to you. You can still use it in a more intentional way and just do your best to keep your interactions with whatever platforms you use as sources of inspiration and sources of connection and growth, I guess. The way that these algorithms are designed is to feed you more of what you spend time looking at. And so if you are spending all of your time looking at things that make you scared, things that make you upset, that make you feel less than, that make you feel anything other than good and inspired and happy and positive, then you have to really kind of ask yourself, what's the point in using this platform? Like, why, what am I even doing here? I'm opening this thing 30 times a day just to feel like shit about myself. Like, that was a point that I actually reached where I had to delete the apps for a few days or weeks or however long I did and restart. So if you are in a situation right now where you have a very toxic relationship with social media and you know it and you want to fix it and you just can't stop, I highly recommend just deleting the apps. You don't have to delete your accounts. Just delete the app off of your phone. And, you can access all of these things through the internet, through your computer. So it's not like, you're missing out on any big messages or conversations that are happening. Like, it might be hard for the first day or two, but you'll notice super quickly a sense of relief that comes with not having to check it because you don't have the option. It's not on your phone. And I recommend that if you work from home, then what's the point of even having the apps on your phone? Because you can access them on the computer. And that really saves me a lot, because if something's on your phone, then you have access to it while you're driving. You have access to it in your bed, when you're outside, like anywhere, wherever you are with your phone, you have access to that platform. But if you don't, and you set that boundary for yourself, then it's a lot easier to be like, oh, I'll have to check Instagram when I get home and see if that person responded to my message or whatever the thing is. So that can be very helpful. If you're not ready to pull that trigger and delete the app off of your phone, even if it's just for a day, just moving where the app is located on your phone, immensely helpful. Like the muscle memory of our thumbs that will automatically, I hate this. Why is it doing that? They're watching. They're always watching. I see you. It's so weird. I'm recording directly into Final Cut. Why is it acknowledging? Oh, now you're not gonna do it? Now you're not because I called you out? Is that what's up? Ding. That's slick. Anyway, what was I even talking about? I remembered the thumb. If you just move the location of where that little icon to your social media of choice is, the one that your thumb automatically scrolls and clicks on, if you just move the location of it around, it just gives you that extra moment to pause. Because you're going to accidentally click on an app that's not that. And then you'll be like, wait, why was I going on Instagram? Is that what I really want to do right now? And then if there is an actual reason you want to go on Instagram, like, oh, I have to answer that message, or, oh, I want to post this thing, then, you can just go find the app and do it. But it gives you that extra moment to just be like, am I mindlessly just clicking on this app right now for literally no reason? And oftentimes the answer is yes. So it can give you that extra chance to back out, just lessen the amount of hours we spend on these soul-sucking platforms at times. And so what I have written down here, I think I'm just going to read this section from my notes. If you keep the platforms and your interactions with these platforms as a tool for you to do and create the things that you want to, then they can be used as sources of inspiration, which is something I really wanted to talk about because I consider myself an artist. I think an artist is, like, you don't have to draw or paint or create something necessarily tangible in order to be an artist. I think an artist is more of a state of mind and a way of living life and doing things for divinity, I want to say, but like the divine act of creation, like honoring your life. And it's just, an artist to me is just the way you see the world and the way that you see life, how you choose to live your life is a work of art in itself. You are a work of art in yourself, just as yourself. You were created, as a beautiful, perfect work of art. And there are some incredible artists out there on social media, on all different types of platforms, and they can be so inspiring. Different writers, different painters, digital artists, just music, like you name it, they're out there. And so it can really be a huge source of inspiration for maybe things that you want to create in the future, or just for some eyeball pleasure of just seeing something that's really beautiful. So I would say like the first thing to kind of do after, if you want to, deleting the apps and just taking a solid break and then kind of having like almost like ceremonial, like, okay, this marks the end of this toxic relationship I have with Instagram. You delete the app, maybe you re-download it tomorrow or in a few hours even. But whenever you re-download it can be the marker of like, I'm cleaning the house. Like this is the marker of my new relationship with social media. And then I think the first thing to do after that is to just scroll on your timeline and see what things pop up, and anything at all that comes up that you don't want to see, either unfollow that account, you hit the hide, I don't want to see this, whatever, for whatever reason, and just start to, slowly weed through your timeline. What will happen over time is if you either unfollow, mute, or, hide, like I'm not interested, don't want to see posts like this, whatever, those things, like when you hit the 3 dots at the corner of a post. What happens over time of doing that is that before you know it, if you are hiding or getting rid of all the things that make you feel anything but good and keeping all the things that make you laugh, all the things that make you feel joy or like inspiration, or just your friends and family and like seeing them on vacation or wherever, over time, your timeline will become that. It will only be the things that make you feel happy. Like mine has slowly but surely become that. Like whenever I open Instagram now, it's either someone I know, like a friend of mine, a family member of mine, sharing something about their life. It's a funny video of animals, usually a funny meme about being chronically ill. That's like relatable stuff, that makes you feel like a little less alone. Or amazing singers. I follow a lot of like vocalists and vocal accounts, a lot of great music, a lot of great art, so many great tattoo artists I love following on Instagram, and just like, there's so many beautiful creators out there, like so many. And when you actually think about it, it's like honestly kind of mental that we don't default to doing that. Like, it's not, because that's how it was designed. But once you know that, then you can take a step back and use it the normal way to use it. Like, it's so weird when you think about it that the majority of people who get on social media are feeling worse when they leave social media. Because why? Then why do you keep getting on it? And there's studies, like it was designed to be this way, but that doesn't mean it has to be that way for you and for your loved ones. So this section might get a little heady for some of you, maybe not, but it's real, so I'm saying it. Social media and everything on the internet, and when you boil it down, everything in life ultimately exists in our mind. Everything. In the world of thoughts, in the world of the mind, in the world of the mental world, where thoughts happen, where we see things, think about things, create things, put them out there. It's all in here. And so, in a way, social media can be used as kind of like a physical representation of the world of the mind and the world of spirit and the world of thought, because ultimately that is what it is, whether you look at it that way or not. That is what it is. We have electric meat in our heads that is connected to our eyeballs, that tells us what we're seeing, that says the words that come out of our mouths for some reason, that hears whatever it is that we hear. And ultimately, life is our perception of life. And when you put that onto a two-dimensional screen and into an algorithm created by people who just want your money and your attention, it can get very dark. But as dark as it can get is also as bright as it can get. And there is so much good and so many great connections and so much magic that can happen on the internet and on social media in general. So it's not something that, I personally want to do away with altogether, but it is something that I know I need to keep in check for my own well-being, for my own mental health. And it's really hard to share things on social media, especially when you're being really personal and very vulnerable, I guess, for lack of a better term, because that term is so overused right now. Authentic as well. But, when you are creating things on it, it's really difficult because, creators of content are taking little pieces of themselves, little pieces of their own minds and hearts and souls, and putting it into some sort of package and sharing it with who knows how many people. It's a very scary thing to do. Even just this video alone, like before I record anything, like I get scared because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say. Like, I don't know who's going to actually be seeing this. I don't know if anyone will ever see this, because most of the things I record, nobody ever sees, because I never edit them and I never post them because I'm embarrassed. But sometimes out of nowhere, there's something I can edit and I create and I'm like, oh, I want to post this. And then a lot of people end up seeing it. And then it's just seeing the numbers and the comments and all the things with it. And I'm at like nothing. Like I have very low engagement, like statistically speaking, with my social media. Like the numbers of my Instagram look way bigger than like how many people actually interact with what I do, because of what I explained earlier. And YouTube is becoming, slowly but surely, it is building up. I've been sporadically creating content on here for about 4 years now. So, at some point I know that videos that I created 4 years ago could have thousands of views. In fact, some of them do. And it's a very weird feeling. It's a very vulnerable feeling, because it's really like, when you read comments that are anything but positive, people say this a million times, but like you could have 1,000 positive comments and one negative one, and that one negative one is the one that you'll focus on. And it's just so true, because I always want to like be self-aware, and I want to know if I said anything wrong, or if there's a flaw in my way of thinking. And I understand that a lot of times people on the outside can see that more clearly than you yourself, or me. Like when I'm editing my videos, I learn a lot about myself, because I just let my mouth run, and then I'm like, whoa, she's gotta dig a little deeper there, because there's something there. Social media really is kind of like the mental world, but put into a medium where people can physically interact with the mental world. And it's really trippy when you think about it that way, but that's what it is. Even though it's all mental, like you are viewing images, you are reading texts, you are writing or typing things back, like all of that exists in the world of thoughts. It is interactive because your thumbs are doing stuff, is making it happen. So it's just a very weird thing. It's a very brand new thing for humans as well. So it's understandable that we are going to have some bumps along the way. And I still wouldn't be surprised if like at some point in the future, people look at social media the way we look at cigarettes. Like, yeah, some people will still use them, but like it's objectively, people say it's bad for you. You shouldn't be on it. You shouldn't use it. And the majority of people won't have social media. I could imagine a future like that. I don't know. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? I don't know. But yeah, so just to have something that was so personal and like in your mind, in your thoughts, or in your Word document, in your notes section on your phone, wherever, just to like have something that was so personal and to put it out there, and then you just kind of wait and you're like, I made this thing. Here's this thing with me. Like, what do you think? Da-da-da. Like, do you like it? Do you like me? It's just a weird feeling, and it's very unnatural, honestly. But I guess we're evolving with it. So for me personally, instead of, getting upset when a 10-year-old comments that I'm embarrassing myself on something that I created, then instead of getting upset and, kind of running away and hiding like I did, you do have the option to just turn off comments, or to just own it and to just not care. I don't know how people do that, but I've seen people do that. I know people can do that. I don't know if I'm one of those people. If I ever do get to a point where any of my things are big enough where I get a lot of negative comments, I probably will turn them off, or I'll like hire someone to like screen them before I see them, because I just know me and I know my brain, and I know that it doesn't matter whether that person was just having a bad day and is taking it out on some random person they see on the internet. I know that it won't matter to me, because I will still be thinking, yeah, but they're probably right. The part of me that just like is pure self-hate will latch on to that and be like, no, they were right. They were right. You are a piece of shit. What are you doing? You are embarrassing, And it's just not healthy. So I don't want to put myself in that situation. And guess what? I don't have to. Like, that's the thing with these platforms is that they really have just kind of taken everyone and just taken our minds and feed us crazy stuff. Like there's some crazy stuff that is just flat out lies that is like on social media that people repost as being full out truths. And it's just so insane. It's psychological warfare is what it actually is, but I'm not going to get into that. But we still have some say in the matter because it is us. It is our phones. It is our fingers doing the stuff. Like we have some amount of say if we recognize that we do. And that's really the gist that I want to get across in this video, is that we do not have to be slaves to these slave squares. We kind of already are, honestly, to some extent, but just being aware of it is the first step to kind of roll back and loosen that a little bit and be like, again, just more mindful with like when I'm picking up my phone. Like before, this is what I've tried to start implementing this. It's so hard, so I'm not successful at it all the time, but when I go to reach to just pick up my phone, I try to first think, why am I picking up my phone? Because so often I have no idea. I have no idea why I'm picking up my phone. So often I just like pick it up and I just start just touching it, refreshing my email a million times, refreshing Instagram. You know, it's just like, what am I doing? Why am I spending my time doing that? The Olympics are on, you know. It was a beautifully sunny day and now it's raining. But you know, there's other things to do with your time than to just look into this black square. Hi, editing Ruthie is back. The hood is staying on this time because I'm a little bit chilly, but I did want to talk a little bit more about phone addiction in general and just how it's a literal addiction and we can treat it the same way we treat other addictions and think of it the same way that we think about other addictions. And, you know, you don't have to quit cold turkey. You can kind of ease yourself off of it, and how some people can quit cold turkey and they're totally fine. Other people can just reduce their usage and be totally fine. Some people, if they use it a little bit, they'll use it all the time. So they know they just can't have it at all. And social media can be very similar. If you are someone who, you know, you just know that if you open Instagram, next time you look up from the screen, it'll be 5 hours later, then yeah, maybe you're someone who shouldn't have Instagram at all. But if you are someone who, you know, just is teetering that edge where you're just like, you know, you're addicted, like you impulsively pick up your phone when you have no reason to, just thinking about picking up your phone as an addiction can be super helpful. And again, just like loosening those ties or rolling back a little bit, those ties to these things that we're addicted to. And then the other thing I wanted to talk more about that I mentioned in the intro I would talk about in this video, but I realized I don't think I really talked much about it in this video, is that life takes place off of the screen as well. Life does not only exist on the internet. True life and living and the best parts of life are not on the internet, unfortunately, for those of us who are chronically ill and, you know, stuck in bed, or just like if the internet's all you have, soak it all up. You know, there's great stuff on the internet and, you know, you can find amazing things and all of that. But the best parts of life are real. Not to say that, you know, the internet or things that happen on the internet aren't real. I just mean that they're in nature. Like they're with tree. I'm looking out my window right now and like there's a bird in the bird feeder, and I have to get this call. This is my Stellara nurse. One moment. Apologies for that delay. I am back here now to finish what I was saying about life taking place off of the interwebs. And yeah, that's the thing. Go outside. Okay, bye. But if you are going to look into the black square, you can curate it to be eyeball fuel and food and soul food. There's probably some great soul food chefs on Instagram, I would assume. But you know what I mean. Just like things that actually make you feel good and make you feel whole and connected and good. Just all of the good things in life. Because if not, then again, you have to ask yourself, what are we even doing? Why am I even doing this then? Another thing I wrote down here is, it might be repetitive to what I've already said, but I'll just read it verbatim of what I wrote. Just interact with the things that you enjoy and pass by the things that you don't. That is the way that you can use social media, and there's a million other ways that you can use it, but that's the way that I've been trying to implement, is just popping on, connecting, getting some meaningful interactions with people and messages, viewing stories that are beautiful, check in on the people that I love and the people I want to see and know what they're doing and how they're doing in the world, and then getting off. Just like simple as that. Having a direct goal when you open the app of like, I'm going on here to respond to that message. I'm going on here to read that message. I'm going on here to check to see if so-and-so posted anything, and it doesn't have to be good. It could be like a petty reason. It doesn't have to be to like get inspiration or to like do something necessarily meaningful, but just making note of it, like for yourself. Why am I going on? I'm going on to be petty and to check that girl's Instagram that I met at a club 5 years ago who gave me that dirty look. It could be something petty, but just be honest about it. Be aware of it. Be mindful of what you are doing and why. And what's driving that thing. It doesn't have to be a good thing that's driving it. It could be the pettiest thing in the world. Just be aware of it and be honest about that for yourself, for your own sanity. So you don't just exit the app, be in a bad mood and be like, why am I in a bad mood? You'll know why you're in a bad mood, because you're like, it's because I just looked at that girl's page who makes me feel insecure. And then Another thing I wrote here that I wanted to say is it's a beautiful thing to be able to interact with so many different kinds of people out in the world who we most likely wouldn't ever interact with without social media, just because there are so many beautiful people out there, so many beautiful souls out there. And each and every person, I deeply believe this. I know that not everyone believes this, but I deeply, deeply know that there is beauty in every single soul that is out there. In my unique perception of the world, I know for a fact that every single person has beauty within them. And I know that because life is beautiful and energy is beautiful, and every person has life and energy in them. And yeah, some people you have to look really, really closely to see any sort of sense of beauty. Maybe it's buried so deep down under so much bullshit that it's barely there anymore. But it was there when they were a baby, it was there with them from the start. So it's still there to some extent, no matter how small the extent is. Because I know there's some really shit people in the world, but you get what I'm saying, hopefully. There's just so many people that we have the privilege to be able to witness via social media. So many people, especially for me on YouTube, I consume most of my things on YouTube, honestly. And I feel like I have so many friends that don't know who I am. I just listen to them talk all day. And they're just beautiful, beautiful people, and people that I know I would never have interacted with before because they live in England or they live in California or someplace that's very far away from me. And they were not people that I would just come across in my daily life. And that's something that I think is so magical about social media, that we have the option, especially on Insight Timer. If there's any Insight Timer fam watching right now, hi, thank you for watching this video. Insight Timer to me is the peak of magic as far as social media goes, because it is the purest worldwide community I have found on a platform. I do live guided meditations on there, usually twice a week for like 4 years now. And, it's names that I recognize that have come back every single time. And people like in New Zealand, in France, in Australia, in Germany, in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, like all around, like where I live too. And then crazy places all over the world. And, it's a different time for everyone too, like time of day. And it's just so magical that someone literally across the globe from me, it's like midnight their time and they can't sleep, and they can open up an app and I can talk to them directly in live time, even though it's the morning for me, and like guide them into a relaxed state. That to me is pure magic. It's insane. It's honestly really crazy when you think about it, just for 2 extra seconds than you might normally. It's wild that all of this exists. The internet, but life in general. It's wild. This is something interesting. So another thing, like maybe if you're out there and you create content, maybe you can relate to this sentiment of mine, is that I get nervous to record and I think too much about it. And I say like, is this the mood of Ruthie that I want to be captured and on the internet forever? And if I think about it that much, the answer will always be no. Because I will never feel confident enough that like how I am right now is a way that I want to present myself that will last forever. We can't even comprehend what that actually means, like lives on the internet forever. I've had the internet like half of my life. We don't even know what forever is. Like it'll be here long after we are gone in these specific meat suits, and I get too like existential about it, and then I just won't record, and it's paralyzing because what? Fear is paralyzing. Fear is paralyzing. This is why you should not watch the news. This is why you should not get news from social media, because what do? They just want you to be scared. Because what happens when you're scared? You do nothing. Because fear is paralyzing. Nobody makes a good decision from the place of fear. And so we really have to take active steps to minimize the amount of fearful information and things that we are taking in, so that we can function in the world and help out the world in the ways that we can do it. I could get really mad if I talk too much about it like that, but hopefully you get where I'm going with that. The news, it's all designed to get us to fight each other and to make us be afraid of each other and of everything. So then we don't do anything, and we're not looking at who's actually doing the evil, horrible things, and we're fighting with our neighbors because of something stupid that doesn't matter. You get it. Okay, end rant. So continuing on with that train of thought that I was reading from before, of like, is this the Ruthie that I actually want to like capture and put into the world? I think about it like the mind stage. They talk about like the world stage being like politics, like the world stage, because it's a fucking show. I think about kind of social media as being like a mind stage in a way, because it's really where it all happens. And the fact is that every single part of me, each and every part of Ruthie, is a part of me, is a part of Ruthie. So what I wrote is like, and I'm not sure if I should be cherry picking the best days or the days that I think are the best, because maybe those days I'm actually in a really annoying mood to somebody else, and I'm too chatty or too rambly or whatever. And maybe the days where I have like a generally lower energy level, where I'm like, I'm obviously not going to record today, maybe those are actually better days to record because I'm more calm and less crazy, I guess. I'll figure it out, but those are just some interesting thoughts that I had written down that I wanted to share. There was a notable shift. I think the way everyone used Instagram, that happened in 2020, and everyone knows what happened in 2020. It just started to become undeniably bad and heavy and dark in the world. It felt like all of the worlds, the mini worlds that I was personally existing in on social media, was full of a lot of dark and heavy shit and just energy and just like a lot. Every day there was a new horrible thing that happened, and every day I felt a pressure to talk about it and to say something profound or to say how I feel about what just happened, or what I'm doing to help people from the horrible thing that just happened. And, since then, in these past 4 years, there's been countless horrible atrocities in this world. And I don't know why social media has turned into this thing that pressures artists and people who create art in this world to speak about things that they don't know about. I think it's starting to dissipate a bit, but I think artists specifically and people who use social media in a way to form connections and to share things about themselves and about their lives, we really need to be honest with ourselves about if we actually know what we're talking about. And if we're just parroting all the other people who are yelling and reposting all these infographics, I don't like that. I don't like how social media has turned into that thing, or it did at least for a while, but maybe I've weeded out mine successfully enough. Maybe yours is still like that. I don't know. But when there's something horrible that's happening in the world, I'll find out about it. Like, I'm not worried about not finding out about it. Like, I'm sure the world will tell me. If my dad doesn't tell me, like, my sister will. If my sister doesn't, my mom will. If nobody of them do it, YouTube will. Like, there's nothing to prove. Like, I think artists especially have to really, and again, I'm like talking directly to myself. Like, we really have to stop trying to prove ourselves and stop trying to prove that we are good people and that we are not a part of the problem and that we're helping and that we are using our platform as a safe space and all of that shit. Like, I'm just so over it. Like, just be you. Just exist as yourself. And end of story. I don't know. And I know that I could be more alone in these thoughts just because I know that there are a lot of great activists out there and a lot of great things that can come from people who are activists and share their stuff on Instagram. But I do believe that the most effective activists that exist on Instagram are not actively on Instagram. And they're probably actively like at town meetings and protesting and in front of courthouses and doing shit in the real world. And their Instagram is a way to post the events that they're hosting or the rallies or whatever. This is getting a little bit off course. So yeah, I wrote, just live your lives, just live your fucking lives, be a good person, help out, contribute the thing that you can do. Whatever thing is your talent, whatever thing you have to contribute to this earth, contribute it. That's it. And only you know what that thing is. Those things are often the things that you think of as like, oh, I wish I could have, or it's too late to do that, but I always really wanted to do that. Like, first of all, it's never too late. Second of all, that's a really, really helpful thing, a very helpful thought to have cross through your mind, because that's a clue of what exactly you should be doing. It was many years of me saying, oh, I should start a YouTube channel. Oh, I should make guided meditation. I should become a yoga teacher. I should do da. And once I did those things, guess what? It feels great. It feels like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, because I know that I am, because I finally stopped thinking about it and just listened to myself and just did it. And you don't even have to think about your like contribution to this world like in such like a big way as like I say it. I feel like a deep sense that I need to contribute a shit ton to this world, especially in the state that I have arrived at this world in. I think a really good trick is to just try it, like, and to think about it like that, and to not be like, oh, I'm doing this big thing that I've always wanted to do. Just be like, I'm just going to try that out. I'm just going to try and see what happens. And you might really surprise yourself in either direction. On the topic of surprising yourself, I wrote, and I surprise myself every time. And so I think I can just trust myself more and more. And I'm only going to continue to get older. And every day that I live is another day's worth of knowledge gained. And if every single day I'm learning something new or seeking out information that I'm interested in or creating things that I want to create and that I feel proud of and things that I want to share and connect with the people I love and my animals and nature and take care of my body and stretch and do yoga and breathe. Like, if I can do even just one of those things every day, that is a good life. Like, that is what culminates and leads to a good life over time, is the little things that you do with your day. And if you are spending your days and like the small pockets of your days doing things that make you feel bad, such as getting sucked into a social media realm that feels bad, then that will also culminate in you feeling like if you do that for, let's say, 5 days, it'll be like, wow, the past 5 days have been so shitty. But if you didn't do that, would they have been shitty? Who knows? We'll never know now. But we can experiment going forward. And I like to just think of everything as just try it and just become curious. What if? Like, the pessimist that lives inside my head is very much like, what's the point? Why even bother trying? Like, it's too late. All is lost. The world is shit. Everything's shit. Give up. It doesn't matter. When that voice starts going off real loud, it's really, really helpful to just kind of rein that voice in by being like, but what if? Well, I don't know. Like, just taking on that curious perspective and trying to stay there as much as you can, because ultimately we know nothing. We know 0.0000000000000 infinity zeros 1% of everything that there is to know. If even that. Like, I don't think there's even a percentage. Like, we know nothing. We are dumb. We're just dumb humans. And we don't know what this earth is. We don't know what the moon is. We don't know, like, we just don't know shit. That can be really exciting. And that can be a really, like, motivating sense when you really can, like, or if you can really, like, wrap your head around that of just, like, just how little we know. And that means that you can be so curious and that there is so much to learn and so much to wonder about, and it can be a really, really beautiful thing. It is a true statement that social media can be used as a tool that benefits your mind and life, and you can use it in a way that benefits you and others. You find that way simply by engaging with things that interest you, or things that you enjoy, or things that make you laugh, things that make you feel good on the inside of your body. And then you can also contribute all the things that you want to contribute. You could also use it as a way to see all of the bad things going on in the world, and to share about all of the bad things that are going on in the world, and all of the things that should be being done to help it, and all the things that you can do to help it. And there's always a certain amount of that falls in the category of feeling interest, I guess, or a connection with what you're seeing in, like, the atrocities that are happening. That is included, I think, in, like, the wide range of feelings that they don't feel good, like, when they're happening, but they're ultimately true feelings of life that need to be felt when bad things are happening. But it's more of, like, if it's an everyday thing. If it's an everyday thing, and every single time that you engage with social media all throughout the day, like hours and hours a day, you are engaging with things and watching the atrocities that are happening in the world, it just can't be good for you. It can't be good for our brains. I see no way in which you could spin it where that could be a positive thing. Our time can be spent in a lot better ways, and ways that are actually more helpful. When there's something that's so big happening and everyone's sharing about it, like, you don't also need to share about it, because everyone knows. Like, everyone already knows the horrible thing. If there's helpful things, like, fundraisers that are happening, rallies to go to, things that, get people included, then that's an example of, again, like, the magic of social media, a great use of it, and making connections and bringing people together toward a cause. That's included in, like, the magical connections in my mind. It's more so of, like, the everyday infographics, sharing videos of people getting their heads blown off, and just those everyday things where it's like, what's the point of this? Why do I need to see this? Why is this on someone's story? I'll say it a million times, psychological warfare. It's not good. It's not good for anyone's brain to be taking in such violent imagery so often. And that's the piece I really want to, like, stick to on this. It's like, the frequency amount.
And it's so weird because I will be awful and watch a full car crash and then I'll swipe up and I'm like, oh my God, can you believe that? And then I swipe up and I'm like, look at the bunny. I think this is conditioning us in a way.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, right?
Yeah.
It just activates your fight or flight, freeze or fawn response, all of that stuff. And you're just like, oh my God, everything's so bad. Oh my God, everything's so bad. And like, what can I do to help? What do people want me to say? And honestly, it becomes a very self-centered thing because there's these horrible things happening across the world, but I have something to say. Activism is a great thing, and activists on social media do great things, but it's how you're doing it, how often, like, what's the point? Are you making this post to feel better about yourself or to prove to someone else that you're a good person? Or are you sharing a fundraiser that is making money that will actually go to help someone? Or are you sharing a rally that is actually fighting for rights of people who are getting their rights taken away? Like, just adding that extra step of just like, why am I sharing this? Like, before you share something like that, maybe there's a totally valid reason that I am not mentioning right now. That is totally good, So that's why I just want to put in like the qualifiers of just like, this is all you, like only you know the things that are hurting you and the things that are helping you. And nobody else can tell you what those things are. Unfortunately, we have to figure these things out for ourselves. We can get a lot of help from listening to other people and just seeing what resonates and what doesn't. But ultimately, this is our life to live. Like, we are alone in these lives, and we have so many beautiful connections and people to help us through our lives and along the way. But at the end of the day, it's just us, and I don't know. I don't know what else to say there. But the best way to wrap all of this up is just by remembering that your intentions do matter. They do affect your experiences that you have in the world, just in general. But specifically, it is enhanced, and for the purpose of this video, on social media. What your intention is going into opening the app really matters. And if you don't have an intention, or if you don't have a purpose for why you're opening the app, that's okay. Just be mindful of that before you do. Like, I'll ask myself and be like, okay, why am I opening Instagram right now? What's the purpose? I'm just bored and I just want to look. And that's fine. Like, to me, like, I'm okay with that. I don't want to do that all the time, but like, every once in a while, that's a totally valid reason to open Instagram. It's just because you're bored and you want to find a funny video to make you laugh. It doesn't always have to be like a profound thing. I want to make sure to hammer that home as well. Because ultimately, it's fun. It's to make friends and to share things with friends and to have fun. And if social media feels like a dark hole that you just get sucked into, I just want you to know it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. It takes a lot of work and a lot of constant attention and mindfulness and checking yourself at first, at least. I'm still, I guess, I don't know. I've been doing this for a while, so maybe not at first. Maybe it's just the way that it is. But it definitely takes a lot of intention and mindfulness and honesty with yourself above all. But it is possible. It is very possible to use social media in a way where it enhances your life and adds value to your life rather than taking from you, which is what it will do if you have no intention. If you just open the app and just let it take you away, it has no problem doing that. And you will find yourself a million pages deep on some random person's thing and probably buying something that you don't need. Like, that's what it's actually designed to do. So if that happens to you when you're using Instagram, don't worry. It's nothing to do with you. It's working as intended. And the way to break that is to just add that extra layer of awareness and mindfulness and just like honesty. Like what are we doing, Ruth? What are we doing on this app? What's the point? Is it just to space out and to not think about my problems? Yes. Okay. That's okay sometimes, It's fine. It's fine to use it as like a space to zone out, but just know when you're doing it and don't lie to yourself. Again, I'm talking to myself. These videos are often me talking to me and telling me the things that I know I need to remember and I know I need to work on. I know I'm not the only one who is feeling this way, most likely. So why not put it all in a video and put it out there on the internet for people to view at their leisure? Anyway, I've been talking for a really long time and there's still another video I want to record, so I'm gonna go. Apologies if this was a very chaotic video. I have no idea how I'll be able to edit this so it's not so chaotic, but maybe I'll be able to do some editing magic. And if it doesn't feel chaotic, then I pat editing Ruthie on the back for that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you heard something that was helpful. And if you did, I hope you share that with whoever you feel called to share that helpful thing with. Make sure that you like this video if you liked this video, and comment on it perhaps, and hit subscribe because that really helps your girl out and pushes out the video to more people, and then more people can see it and get help by it. So that would be great if you could do those things. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, I hate AI. So goodbye. Bonk. A bonk. A binkity bonkity book. Okay, I'm done. Bye.